You've heard it 1,000 times. Raise your vibration, match the frequency of what you want. Become a vibrational match. And it sounds mystical, spiritual, like something only enlightened people can do. So you try, you meditate, you repeat affirmations, you force yourself to feel positive. And maybe you feel good for an hour, but then reality hits. The bill comes, the text doesn't, the opportunity falls through, and you crash back down. And you think, I can't hold the frequency. But here's the truth. You're not supposed to hold a frequency. You're supposed to become it. Not as a mood, not as a temporary state, as an embodied reality. And that's completely different from what you've been taught. Today, I'm going to show you what frequency actually is. Not the mystical version, the real one. The one that lives in your body, your nervous system, and your automated behavior. And I'm going to show you how to embody it. So it's not something you do, it's something you are. This is about the embodied frequency. Let's begin. What frequency actually is? First, we need to destroy the myth. Frequency is not magic. It's not woo-woo. It's physics. Everything in the universe is energy vibrating at different speeds. Your body, your thoughts, your emotions, your environment, all of it, vibration. And different vibrations create different experiences. But here's where the manifestation world gets it wrong. They tell you frequency is a feeling. Just feel abundant and you'll attract abundance. Just feel loved and you'll attract love. But that's not how it works, because feelings are temporary. You can feel abundant for 5 minutes and then check your bank account and collapse into lack. You can feel loved in the morning and feel lonely by noon. Feelings fluctuate, but frequency doesn't. Real frequency is deeper than emotion. It's not what you feel in a moment, it's what you are at a foundational level. Let me explain it differently. Think of frequency like a radio station. You're always broadcasting, always transmitting a signal. And that signal is not just your thoughts, it's not just your feelings. It's the sum total of your beliefs, your self-concept, your nervous system's baseline, your habitual thoughts, your automated behaviors, your body's cellular memory. All of it together creates a frequency, a consistent signal that you're broadcasting into reality. And reality responds to that signal, not to what you want, not to what you visualize, to what you are. So when people say, match the frequency of what you want, they're not talking about faking a feeling, they're talking about becoming it, at every level. Mental, emotional, physical, cellular. That's embodied frequency. And it's the only kind that actually creates. Let me show you the difference. Someone trying to raise their vibration around money. They think positive thoughts about wealth. They visualize money. They say affirmations. And for a moment, they feel abundant. But then they go to the grocery store and they check the prices, calculate what they can afford, put things back because they're too expensive. They just drop the frequency. Not with their thoughts, with their behavior. Because their behavior revealed their real frequency. Their embodied frequency is still lack. Now look at someone who's actually embodied abundance. They don't have to think about being abundant, they just are. So when they go to the grocery store, they don't check prices. They buy what they want, not recklessly, but naturally. Because their nervous system is regulated around money. Their body feels safe having and spending money. Their automated behavior reflects abundance. That's embodied frequency. It's not a thought. It's a state of being that's integrated into every level of your system. And that's what creates. So the question isn't, how do I feel abundant? The question is, how do I become abundant in my body, my mind, and my automatic responses? That's what we're going to explore. Embodied frequency has 3 layers. Most people only work with one. That's why it doesn't stick. You need all 3. Layer 1. Mental frequency. This is your thoughts, your beliefs, your internal dialogue. And yes, this matters, because your thoughts create a mental frequency. If you're constantly thinking, I never have enough, nothing works out for me, I'm always struggling, that creates a frequency of lack. Your mind is broadcasting scarcity, and that filters how you perceive reality. You'll notice every problem, every limitation, every closed door, because your mental frequency is tuned to lack. But someone thinking, I always figure it out, things work in my favor, I'm resourceful and supported, that creates a frequency of sufficiency. So they notice opportunities, solutions, open doors, same reality, different mental frequency, different perception, different experience. So mental frequency matters, but it's not enough, because you can think abundant thoughts all day and still feel anxious in your body, which brings us to layer 2. Layer 2, emotional frequency. This is your feelings, your emotional baseline, the emotions you live in most of the time. And here's what most people don't realize. Emotions are not just feelings, they're chemistry. When you feel anxious, your body releases cortisol. When you feel joy, your body releases serotonin. Different emotions create different chemical states, and those chemical states create a frequency, a vibration your body is literally emitting. So if you're chronically anxious, even if you're thinking positive thoughts, your body is broadcasting a frequency of fear, and reality responds to that, not to your thoughts, to your body's chemical state. This is why forcing positivity doesn't work. You can think, I'm abundant, but if your body is flooded with stress hormones, you're broadcasting lack, because your emotional frequency is louder than your mental one. So you need emotional regulation, not suppression, regulation. You need your nervous system to feel safe, calm, grounded, because that creates a frequency of trust, of stability, of openness, and that frequency attracts. But even this isn't enough, because you can think positive and feel calm and still behave from lack. Which brings us to the third layer, layer 3, behavioral frequency. This is your actions, your habits, your automated responses. And this is the layer most people completely ignore, but it's the most important, because your behavior reveals your real frequency, not what you think, not what you feel, what you do. Someone can say they're abundant, but if they hoard money, their behavior reveals a scarcity frequency. Someone can say they're worthy of love, but if they accept breadcrumbs, their behavior reveals an unworthiness frequency. Someone can say they're successful, but if they procrastinate, their behavior reveals a fear frequency. Your behavior is the truth teller. It shows what you actually believe, what you're actually embodying. And reality responds to behavior, not to thoughts, not to feelings, to what you consistently do. So, embodied frequency requires all 3 layers: mental, what you think; emotional, what you feel; behavioral, what you do. When all 3 align, that's embodied frequency. That's when you're not trying to match a vibration, you are the vibration, and that's when everything changes. Here's what nobody tells you. Your frequency isn't controlled by your mind, it's controlled by your nervous system. And your nervous system has one job: keep you safe, not happy, not abundant, not successful, safe. And safe to your nervous system means familiar, even if familiar is painful. Let me show you how this works. Your nervous system has been conditioned over years, childhood experiences, trauma, repeated patterns, and it learned this is what safe feels like. So if you grew up in scarcity, your nervous system learned that scarcity is safe, it's familiar, it's home. So now, when you try to embody abundance, your nervous system freaks out. This isn't safe, this isn't familiar, and it pulls you back, not consciously, automatically, through anxiety, through self-sabotage, through discomfort. You get money, and your nervous system says, danger, unfamiliar, so you spend it, to return to the familiar state of scarcity. You meet someone healthy, and your nervous system says, danger, this isn't what love feels like, so you pull away, to return to the familiar state of unavailability. Your nervous system is keeping you in the old frequency, not because it hates you, but because it's trying to keep you safe. And to your nervous system, safe equals familiar. So here's the problem. You can think abundant thoughts, you can feel abundant emotions, but if your nervous system isn't regulated for abundance, you'll sabotage it, every time, because your nervous system will pull you back to what it knows. This is why embodying a new frequency is uncomfortable. Your nervous system resists it. It feels dangerous, even when it's good. So if you want to embody a new frequency, you have to work with your nervous system, not against it. You have to teach it that the new frequency is safe, and that requires repetition, consistency, gradual exposure. You can't shock your nervous system into a new frequency. You have to ease it in. Let me give you an example. Someone wants to embody the frequency of wealth, but their nervous system is conditioned for scarcity, so they can't just jump into spending freely. That would trigger panic. Their nervous system would shut it down. Instead, they start small. They buy something they want, not just need, and they sit with the discomfort. They let their nervous system adjust. They do it again and again until spending on themselves feels normal, safe. Then they increase, gradually, building new neural pathways, teaching their nervous system, this is safe now, this is who we are. That's how you shift frequency, not through force, through regulation, through consistent, gentle exposure to the new frequency until your nervous system accepts it as the new normal. And once your nervous system is on board, everything changes, because your nervous system controls your automatic responses, your behaviors, your reactions. When your nervous system is regulated for abundance, you naturally make abundant choices. You don't have to think about it, it's just who you are. That's embodied frequency. Here's where it gets even deeper. Your frequency isn't just in your mind or your nervous system, it's in your cells. Your body is storing every experience you've ever had, every belief you've absorbed, every emotion you've felt. It's all encoded in your cellular memory, and your cells are broadcasting a frequency based on that stored information. This is why you can't just think your way into a new frequency, because your body is holding the old one at a cellular level. Let me explain. When you experience something repeatedly, your body adapts. If you're repeatedly stressed, your cells learn to operate in stress mode. They expect cortisol. They're wired for survival. And that creates a cellular frequency of lack, of danger, of scarcity. So even when your external circumstances change, your cells are still broadcasting the old frequency, because they haven't been reprogrammed yet. This is why someone can win the lottery and still feel anxious. Their external reality changed, but their cellular frequency didn't. Their cells are still vibrating at scarcity, so they feel uncomfortable with wealth. Their body doesn't recognize it as safe, so they sabotage, to return to the cellular frequency they're wired for. The same thing happens with health. Someone can eat perfectly, but if their cells are storing trauma, if their body is holding on to stress, the cellular frequency is still disease. So the body struggles to heal. Not because the food isn't working, but because the cells are vibrating at illness. And you can't override cellular frequency with willpower. You have to reprogram the cells, and that requires somatic work, body-based practices that release stored trauma, breath work, somatic experiencing, movement, touch. These practices help your body release what it's holding, so your cells can recalibrate, reprogram, start vibrating at a new frequency. Let me give you an example. Someone wants to embody the frequency of health, but their body is holding years of stress, years of believing, I'm fragile, years of cellular memory that says, I'm always sick. So they can eat well, exercise, think positive thoughts, but their cells are still vibrating at illness, so the body doesn't fully heal, until they do somatic work, breath work to release stored stress, movement to discharge trauma, practices that help the body feel safe. And as the body releases, the cellular frequency shifts. The cells start vibrating at health, and the body heals. Not because they did more, but because they released what was blocking the frequency. This is the missing piece. You can't just think and feel your way into a new frequency. You have to embody it, somatically, cellularly, at the level of the body. Because the body is the anchor. If your body is holding the old frequency, you'll keep returning to it, no matter what you think or feel. But when your body releases the old and embodies the new, the frequency stabilizes. It becomes automatic. It becomes who you are. Here's something most people completely miss. Your language is creating your frequency. Not just your thoughts, the actual words you speak, out loud, and in your head. Because words are not neutral. Words carry vibration. And every time you speak, you're broadcasting a frequency, and reality is listening. Let me show you how this works. Every word has an energetic signature. Some words vibrate at lack. I can't. I need. I don't have. I'm trying. I hope. These words create a frequency of insufficiency, of striving, of not yet. And when you use them constantly, You're embedding that frequency into your system. Your mind hears it, your body feels it, your cells absorb it, and you vibrate at that level. Now look at words that vibrate at sufficiency. I am, I have, I choose, I know, it's done. These words create a frequency of completion, of having, of certainty, and when you use them, you're programming a different frequency. But here's the trap. Most people use lack-based language all day without realizing it. I need more money. Frequency. I don't have enough. I'm trying to find love. Frequency. I don't have it yet. I hope it works out. Frequency. I'm uncertain. I can't afford that. Frequency. I'm limited. Every single statement is broadcasting lack, and your system absorbs it. Your nervous system hears, I need, and tenses. Your cells hear, I can't, and contract. Your mind hears, I hope, and doubts, and the frequency of lack becomes your default. So if you want to embody a new frequency, you have to change your language. Not just in affirmations, in everyday speech. Stop saying, I need money. Start saying, money flows to me. Stop saying, I'm trying to get healthy. Start saying, my body is healing. Stop saying, I hope they like me. Start saying, I'm valuable exactly as I am. This isn't about lying. It's about choosing language that vibrates at the frequency you want to embody, because your words are instructions to your mind, to your body, to reality. And here's what's wild. When you change your language, your nervous system responds, your body relaxes, your cells recalibrate, because language is that powerful. It's not just communication, it's creation. So start listening to yourself. What are you saying all day? What frequency is your language broadcasting? And then consciously choose words that match the frequency you want to embody, not occasionally, constantly, until the new language becomes natural. And when it does, the frequency shifts, without effort, because you're speaking it into being. Here's another layer nobody talks about. Your environment is affecting your frequency every single day. And most people are completely unconscious of it, because frequency isn't just internal, it's also external. Everything around you has a vibration. The people you're with, the spaces you occupy, the media you consume, the objects you surround yourself with, all of it is emitting a frequency, and your system absorbs it, like a sponge. So if you're trying to embody abundance, but you're surrounded by people who complain about money, their frequency is pulling yours down. If you're trying to embody peace, but you're consuming chaotic media, that frequency is destabilizing yours. If you're trying to embody success, but your environment is cluttered and chaotic, that frequency is blocking yours. Your environment is not neutral. It's either supporting your frequency or disrupting it. Let me break this down. Frequency of people. The people you spend the most time with, you start to match their frequency. Not consciously, through mirror neurons, through nervous system co-regulation. If you're around people who vibrate at scarcity, who constantly talk about lack, who see problems everywhere, your nervous system will start to match that, even if you're consciously trying to stay positive, because nervous systems sync, it's biology. So if you want to embody a new frequency, you need to be around people who already embody it, not to use them, but to let your system learn from theirs, to experience what that frequency feels like, to normalize it. Frequency of space. Your physical environment affects your frequency. Clutter creates a frequency of chaos. Mess creates a frequency of overwhelm. Darkness creates a frequency of stagnation. But clean, organized, light-filled spaces, they create a frequency of clarity, of ease, of flow. Your body responds to your environment. If your space is chaotic, your nervous system stays activated, stressed, scanning for threats. But if your space is calm, your nervous system relaxes. And a relaxed nervous system can embody a higher frequency. So look at your environment. Does it support the frequency you want to embody, or is it pulling you down? Frequency of media. What you consume, you become. If you're watching negative news all day, that frequency is programming you. Fear, scarcity, danger. If you're scrolling social media comparing yourself, that frequency is programming you. Lack, insufficiency, not enough. But if you're consuming content that uplifts, that educates, that inspires. That frequency is programming you differently. So be intentional. Your attention is your power. Where you place it, that's what you're feeding. And what you feed, that's what grows. So audit your environment, people, space, media, and make sure they're supporting the frequency you want to embody, not dragging it down. Because you can do all the internal work, but if your external environment is vibrating at the old frequency, you'll keep getting pulled back. So clean your space, curate your media, and choose your people wisely. Because your environment is programming you. Make sure it's programming the frequency you want. So now you understand. Frequency is not a feeling, it's an embodied state. Mental, emotional, physical, cellular, linguistic, environmental, all of it together. And to embody a new frequency, you need a practice. Not a one-time shift, a daily integration. Here's how. Morning, set the frequency. Before you check your phone, before you do anything, you set the frequency for the day. Close your eyes, feel into the frequency you want to embody. Not the outcome, the state. If you want abundance, feel the frequency of already having, relaxed, certain, secure. If you want love, feel the frequency of being loved, worthy, safe, open. If you want success, feel the frequency of already being successful, confident, calm, capable. Spend 5 minutes just being that frequency. Breathe it in. Let your body feel it. Let your cells absorb it. That's your anchor for the day. Midday, check the frequency. Throughout the day, you'll slip, you'll get triggered, you'll drop into the old frequency. That's normal, but you catch it, you pause, you breathe, you ask, what frequency am I in right now? And you choose again, not by forcing, by returning to the frequency you set in the morning. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be consistent. Evening, release and recalibrate. Before bed, you release what you absorbed during the day. Through breath work, through movement, through journaling. You let go of what's not yours, and you recalibrate to your chosen frequency. So you fall asleep in the state you want to wake up in. Because the frequency you fall asleep in, that's what you're programming while you sleep. And sleep is when the subconscious integrates. So make it count. This is the practice. Not once, daily. And over time, the new frequency becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to force it. It's just who you are. That's embodied frequency. So here's what we've covered. Frequency is not a mood. It's not something you fake. It's an embodied state that includes your thoughts, your emotions, your nervous system, your cells, your language, your environment. All of it together creates a frequency, a vibration you're broadcasting, and reality responds to that, not to what you want, to what you are. So if you want different results, you don't need new techniques, you need a new frequency. And to embody that frequency, you need to work at every level. Mental, change your thoughts. Emotional, regulate your feelings. Somatic, release what your body is holding. Linguistic, speak the frequency you want to create. Environmental, surround yourself with what supports it. And then practice, daily, consistently, until the new frequency is so integrated, you don't have to try. You just are. That's the embodied frequency, not a concept, a practice, a way of being. And when you master it, you stop chasing what you want, because you become it. And what you are naturally attracts. That's the shift. That's the work. That's what actually creates. So start today. Choose your frequency and embody it. At every level, your reality is waiting.